New York City under curfew tonight, starting at 11 p.m., and there have already been protests in the city throughout the day. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park joining me now from Union Square in New York City, where those protesters are gathering. And Kathy, what's going on there? What are you hearing from protesters there today?
So, Allison, we have seen, I would say, thousands of people coming through here. They started off in Times Square. There was a large gathering there, and we're told that they started marching this way. We asked them where they are headed. It's unclear. They're going to continue to march, but for the most part, they have been peaceful, orderly. We spoke with an organizer earlier today. Here's a little bit more about the message that she hopes that the public will hear because of their presence. Take a listen.
We aren't animals. We're not animals. We have lives. And what all we are trying to do here is have peace. All we're trying to do is, the message is clear, just stop killing us. Hold them accountable like you hold everybody else accountable for.
And Allison, we are into day 4 of this protest, and typically the way that this has turned out in the afternoon hours during the day, it's relatively peaceful and calm like it is currently, but it takes a shift at night, and a lot of officials have come out, the mayor, the governor, asking for peace. They have said that the looters are just a select few that's creating the violence, stirring up the violence. I do want to point out a couple of things, because you mentioned the curfew goes into effect tonight at 11 o'clock. And so the police presence has definitely expanded. You see several officers behind the protesters right now. They have zip ties, they have riot gear, but this is what we have seen throughout the day. The reinforcement has definitely stepped up. We heard from the governor. He issued a press conference, and he said that they will be doubling up the presence of officers in areas where there was a lot of looting. Soho was one of the areas. We were there earlier today. We saw a lot of the vandalism in a lot of the luxury stores. So obviously they don't want a repeat of that. Something else to point out. This is a Whole Foods here. We were told that this business was not vandalized. However, they have boarded up the storefronts in preparation for what could be another long night, potentially, and just a few blocks from here, there was a lot of looting in other stores as well. So definitely tense. And that was not part of the demonstration. But in any case, the demonstrators, it looks like they have moved on. They're heading in an unclear direction. But, yesterday they shut down the Manhattan Bridge, but they are on the move and they're growing. But once again, they are peaceful. Allison?
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.